A videographer named Aaron answers an online advert for a job in a remote town somewhere in the mountains. And because he's cash-strapped at the time, he takes the offer and heads down to the place. On getting to the location, nobody is home, and after looking around, he sees an axe which frightens him, so he goes back to his car. Not long after, a man suddenly approaches him and introduces himself as Joseph, the one who ran the ad. He invites Aaron inside the vacation home and informs him of the job description which wasn't stated in the advert. Joseph claims that he is a cancer survivor, but that he was recently informed he has a large brain tumor that can't be treated, leaving him about 3 months left to live. And so he has decided to make video footage of himself for a day to leave behind for his unborn son, so he can have an idea of what his father was like. Aaron accepts it, not like he has a choice anyway, and Joseph immediately pays him the cash up front. Next, the filming begins, and something very unexpected happens. Joseph strips himself and goes to the bathroom requesting that Aaron record the whole thing. He pretends to bathe an invisible baby, claiming it was something he did with his father, which they called tubby time, and wants his son to see it. At this point, Aaron is quite uncomfortable, but Joseph continues to reassure him that it's okay. After a while, he's done with the imaginary bath and starts making suicidal comments, claiming he's going to die anyway. Aaron is still trying to somewhat console him when Joseph submerges himself in the bathwater and doesn't come up, so he tries to check and help, but then Joseph deliberately startles him. He immediately apologizes, claiming it was a joke, and suggests that they head out for some fresh air. Aaron is directed to a closet to get a jacket, but when he opens it, he gets another scare when he sees a scary wolf mask looking right at him. Once again, Joseph tries to calm him and explains that it's just a mask his dad used to play with. He then puts on the mask and sings a song for Aaron to record before the two head out. On the drive out, Joseph tells Aaron that they're going to some place in the woods that has healing water, but for only the pure of heart. When they get to the place, Joseph is abnormally enthusiastic and sprints ahead of Aaron, who is still filming everything. Again, he startles his videographer, and it seems to have become a habit. After apologizing once more, Joseph takes Aaron along the trail, but starts making disturbing comments about the axe in his house, which makes Aaron uncomfortable. After walking for ages, they finally find the water, and the two get in and pretend to baptize each other at Joseph's request. When they're done, Joseph offers to take Aaron out for lunch to a place he claims has the best pancakes. On getting there, while the camera is still rolling, Joseph asks him to share his most embarrassing moment with him, and after convincing him, Aaron tells him the story of how he peed himself on the playground when he was little. Joseph probably only asked him as a setup, so he would be able to tell his embarrassing tale, which he does immediately. He shows Aaron pictures on his phone, and as he zooms in with the camera, he realizes that the pictures were taken of him unaware. Joseph was around when he arrived, but he took pictures of him. He then apologizes and claims he only did it so he wouldn't be nervous when they officially met. Aaron agrees to let it slide, and the two head back. On their return to the house, it's already dark, and Aaron decides to call it a day and head back, since it's a long drive back to his place. But Joseph pleads with him to stay for one drink to at least commemorate the day. He is successfully cajoled and goes in for the drink, but not before Joseph startles him again. At this point, it wouldn't be far-fetched to suggest that Joseph is a psychopath. While the two sit in silence, Joseph asks Aaron about his financial situation and offers to give him money because he has so much and is going to die anyway. Aaron initially waves off the offer, but Joseph insists, and eventually, it's obvious that he needs the money, so he accepts the offer. After the drink, he gets up and decides to head out, but Joseph begs him to stay because he has something he wants to get off his chest, but only to him, and requests that he turn off the camera. Aaron sits back down, and Joseph tells him that about 4 years ago, he found out that his wife, Angela, was watching animal intercourse on their computer, and when he confronted her about it, she denied it. He reveals that he devised a plan to prove his suspicion, so he told his wife he had to travel, but he did not, and instead went to a store and bought the wolf mask and later that evening broke into the house and assaulted his wife wearing the mask. Aaron just sits in silence throughout the story, as Joseph tells him that he had never seen Angela happier than during the escapade. The next day he came home and asked her about her day, but she didn't tell him anything about it. After the story, Aaron tries to conclude the entire thing as possible and grabs his things. Unfortunately, his keys are missing and he's a little drunk, so as expected, Joseph suggests that he spend the night and look for the keys in the morning since it's late and he'll probably be pulled over by the police anyway. Left with no choice, Aaron agrees, and the two men have another drink. After a while, Joseph seems to fall asleep, so Aaron decides to search his pockets for the keys. As he carefully checks them, Joseph's phone rings, so he immediately takes it to another room to receive the call. He answers the phone, and the woman on the other line identifies as Angela, but she tells him she's Joseph's sister. Aaron immediately gets even more scared when she tells him to find a way out of the house as fast as he can, because her brother has issues. She offers to come pick him up since his keys are missing, so he accepts and goes back to the room where Joseph was sleeping. But he's not there anymore. Aaron calls out to him and searches around the dimly lit house, but there are no answers until finally, Joseph appears out of the darkness again. He's crying about not wanting to die, so Aaron consoles him and confronts him about Angela and asks for his keys. Instantly, Joseph dashes away and Aaron follows him, but when he finds him, he's standing in front of the door wearing the wolf mask again. Aaron asks him to make way, but he refuses and starts growling at him. So Aaron attacks him, and Joseph runs away. A few days later, back home, Aaron receives mail at his doorstep, which contains disturbing video footage recorded by Joseph. In the video, he's digging a grave to bury trash bags, which Aaron believes is a metaphor for his body. Aaron decides to wave the message off and move after trashing the CD. But a few days later, he receives another piece of mail. It's a big box containing another CD. He plays it and realizes it's a message from Joseph apologizing for the first video. In the footage, Joseph asks him to check the box where he finds a large knife and a stuffed wolf. He tells Aaron to cut the toy open and uncover the gift inside. Aaron then opens the wolf with his hands and finds a locket inside with his and Joseph's initials inscribed on it and their pictures within it. Calling the police is justified at this point, and that's exactly what Aaron does. But there's not much they can do because of the little information he has on Joseph, so he decides to lock all his doors and windows to prevent anyone from coming inside. Later that night, Aaron wakes up from another disturbing dream involving Joseph and the water they visited, and while he sits in the darkness, not knowing how to get back to sleep, he hears loud thuds from outside, implying that someone may be inside the house. He immediately turns on the lights to check and doesn't find anything, so he goes outside to look. Throughout all this, his camera is filming from elsewhere and catches a glimpse of Joseph when he isn't looking, so he just concludes that the noise was from raccoons. Later that night, after Joseph took the opportunity to enter the house, he takes the camera and films Aaron while he's asleep and cuts some of his hair with a pair of scissors. The next morning, when Aaron wakes up, he finds another CD inside his room that appears to be Joseph's last video. So he plays it, and in the recording, Joseph apologizes for stalking him and admits that he has a problem, but doesn't know what to do. He claims he's lonely and wants to be his friend, so he invites him to a lakeside where he plans to explain everything to Aaron. It's quite baffling that Aaron accepts, and the next day, he goes to the location. No one else is around, but Aaron decides to go anyway and puts a camera to record everything from his car. From the camera, we see Joseph stealthily approach Aaron from behind with an axe and then put on the wolf mask. Unfortunately, Aaron doesn't look back even once, and then Joseph drives the axe into his head and kills him there. Next, we see Joseph watching the murder over and over, providing himself with the kill like a serial killer. He makes a last recording, claiming that Aaron would always be the best human being he had ever met for still trusting him, even with all that he did to him. Afterward, he takes the tape recording from Aaron's camera and labels it before keeping it in a closet full of so many other tapes of his other victims. The final scene is Joseph making a call to another videographer, but this time his name is Bill and provides the same job description. Unfortunately, the man accepts the job and the creep gets prepared for his next victim.